Good. Really good. Really good. Who's up?
Was there a moment where you kind of knew, hey, this is going to be my starting quarterback?
Uh, I think there's moments. I don't think there's one particular moment. You win any quarterback job through a cumulative process, and certainly Keelan did that. And we're excited, man. I'm excited for him. He is really taking the bull by the horns as a starter, and embodied that, and just taking command of the field. Everything that you think like, oh, is the young quarterback going to be able to do that? But we got a ton of confidence in him, and he's playing confident. He's operating at an incredibly high level right now, so we're really excited for him.
Can you tell us about one of those moments?
For me, I think one time we were down in the red zone and we got a zeroed out look, and he knew the check to get to for protection and make the big throw down there in the red zone on a third down. And clock's ticking, you're going under 10 seconds, and defense gets into a tough look and a pressure moment. Just having the ability to, get to your training, fall back on your training, and let it happen. And that was one. I believe it was in the second scrimmage he did that was really, really good.
How have you seen Keelan, I guess, grow like in terms of his demeanor, interaction with like receivers, confidence? How have you seen that grow?
Yeah. Well, two things with Keelan. I've always thought he's a very confident kid, but at the same time, I think there's people that present as confident, and there's people that are authentic, and I think that's the part for Keelan. Just stressing to him, just keep being yourself, and that's really what draws his teammates to him, is that he's an authentic guy. The enthusiasm, the confidence is all real, and when he doesn't know, he's not too ego-driven to ask. And those are the things I think that draw his teammates to him.
Where's his game at right now, pre-snap?
Way ahead of schedule. That's what I'd say. Way ahead of schedule. I think there's some of those things that you really you think you hope, you anticipate for all the quarterbacks. What they're going to be able to do and develop, and where he's going to be pre-snap. But I think his mechanics and just having a lot of time, it's really just having discipline from play to play. Like exactly where your eyes should be, what defender is going to give you the keys you need, and then being consistent with that process. So for him, I thought over the summer and into camp, he really honed that process down of being trained with his eyes pre-snap. So I think I'd say ahead of schedule. Is he a 10-year vet? No, not yet, right? You're still reminding him of stuff, but I think he's doing a really good job.
How much can the offense really settle in now that you're less than 2 weeks out from the season? You have the quarterback names and the other positions kind of settling down and
Yeah.
prepared for the season.
Well, I think, not just the offense, but I think the football team, and that's been every quarterback battle I've been part of is, guys get named a starter. And I think it just naturally, it's human nature for guys to just fall into spots and be like, okay, that's behind us. And there's no more, discussions. It's just, it is what it is. And guys can move on, and for both those players, for both the quarterbacks too, to be able to settle in and start driving into their role. Really good. Rico is a guy I don't want to say I was nervous about. I was nervous for him just because he had some health issues during the summer, and we had to be super cautious with him leading into camp where we didn't set him behind. But I've been wildly impressed with his process as far as understanding what his body needs and how to get himself ready so he can stay out there. Because I think sometimes guys come back, they get overstrained at camp, and it sets them back and they can't play. Rico of late, his contested catches have really picked up. And really one of the things that stood out to me is Rico's starting to practice like the physical player that he is more consistently. It's not that he never did. He's a super physical, high effort guy that's in a lot of special teams as well. And it's starting to show up all the time instead of like, man, there's Rico and then maybe a fall off here and there, just like any young player. But was really impressed. Like today stood out to me, the way he practiced, just his demeanor in between was really, really well.
How do you look pre-snap versus scrimmage? What's his relationship with that O-line like? What's the most important thing to do to kind of develop that?
Well, pre-snap, I kind of hit that already. I think he's doing a good job. I thought in the scrimmage he was good, not great. The two practices after that, I thought he was great. So he's continuing to learn from situations. I think his relationship with the O-line is like, for a young quarterback, like just being himself, asking questions, and really for him, I think it starts with him and racing. Like them having the gel together on protection calls and checks, and trusting Racing to help get him into the right calls if he needs it. But it doesn't matter if it's the DBs or the O-line. Like Keelan's a relationship builder. That's the type of player and person he is. So No difference there. And your third one was what?
Just what do you want to see from him as he gets ready to do?
Just keep making the plays he makes and stay consistent. I think for him, the only sin right now is that he starts thinking he has to play off schedule. Staying on schedule, play within the platform of the game, and he'll be okay.
Speaking of the line,
Yep.
have you figured out a five you want to go with?
I think we're close. We're right to game week, and it's been pretty consistently the same five. There's still a couple battles that are lingering, specifically Mal and Will have been trading off one reps. Other than that, it's been pretty consistent. Javen at right tackle, he's been taking the lion's share of the ones. So we're pretty much there. But, we leave it open to see if anybody shows up in the last couple days before you get to really, we got some game prep in today. But once you get into that final stretch, after Thursday, it's kind of is what it is.
Ron, what do conversations between you and Jay Nunez look like in terms of getting skilled players in at return or making
Yeah.
sure that, I don't know, they're healthy enough or they're
Yeah.
things like that? What's up?
First of all, Coach Nunez is really detailed, does a fantastic job. And one of the things I've always noticed about Coach is that he is open. Like, he knows we have relationships and we watch film on these guys all the time. So if he's struggling with a guy, maybe not giving the right type of effort, or, hey, is this guy taking a few more reps? Is he, does he take him a while to learn things? I think he's super communicative in that regard, looking for input, or guys that, hey, who else, catches punts or did in high school, all that kind of stuff. But Jay does a great job. And, we got a couple great kickers. They showcased that today. Both those guys I think they both hit a 57 and a 58 yarder, something like that. I mean, they're bombing them. So we're pretty fortunate.
When Keelan and Rayson are discussing pass protection, who gets the final say?
Keelan. Yep. In our system, the quarterback always has final say. The reason for that is they got to know the protection scheme in the sense that I know what my problems are. So even if I call it wrong, I know where the man side of the pro is. And if there is an issue, I know where to get the ball out of my hands.
How was Ryan's late game impacted?
Man, he's strong. He is. I think it's like his sustainability, and like even today in practice, we did a ton of service reps and things like that. And Ryan's hopping in, anytime, ones, twos. It's hard for him to wear down right now. So I certainly see, a bigger, stronger kid that just powers through practices. He's really pretty amazing. He's probably got the competitive stamina he has is probably one of the highest on the football team.
The physical attributes for Keelan obviously stand out. But can you
Yep.
tell me a little about his processing ability?
Yeah, for Keelan, one of the things I love about him is that's why he's here playing quarterback at Alabama. Is he certainly has athletic ability, but I told him if that's all they ever say about you, that would be an insult. And he takes that very seriously. That he knows, playing quarterback and understand processing, how to get through reads quicker is what's going to make him a complete player. And I would never want that stereotype for him that he ends up just being a runaround guy back there, and he's not. He's a incredibly bright kid that understands pretty complex read progressions for a redshirt freshman. And so as long as we can keep him in those progressions and keep it friendly for him, he's going to do great.
Ryan, you got
Yeah. Oh man, there's a bunch of them. I think it starts with Marshall Pritchett. He's a guy that's he's stepped up as a blocker. He's become a more complete player in that regard, where I think he was viewed as a guy kind of going into spring and summer, like, can he do, like, line of scrimmage, is this guy going to be able to get it done? And so he took that part, really seriously, and I think he got a lot better at it. But the playmaker part in Marshall is he's a weapon out there. He can truly block, and then expand the outside, getting a mismatch on a safety and really play ball. So I think, for his standpoint, he's doing a great job. Caleb has, both of those guys I think have done a really good job of attacking their weaknesses. So Caleb has really become a formidable blocker, where I think as a young player last year, that was a little more difficult for him. So now I think Caleb is really becoming that true 50-50 Y. Danny Lewis, is limited on the reps he gets, but he's as good an end line guy as you're going to see in the SEC, and the same with Josh Ford. Josh Ford is as dominant a player on the line of scrimmage as anybody you're going to see. So those two guys as true blockers, and they all can catch. I think all those guys can catch the football. Jay Lindsey has a ton of just savvy and toughness, and he's got an edge to him that our offense loves. So they're all showing up.
What would it look like for a college program to add someone from NFL training camp after having missed all the fall camp?
Well, who's it going to be? No, listen, if I had that all figured out, I'd be in Vegas right now doing something else. But I think obviously anytime, in the situation any college football program's in, if you can add a player to the roster, you'd love to be able to do it if it's within the confines of the rules. But, right now it's just, I don't think anybody really knows. I think they're working through a lot of stuff there. But, you can improve a roster. I think there isn't a team in the country that wouldn't like to do that. You bet. Thanks, y'all.